Okay, thank you very much everyone for waiting. Welcome back to SASE 2021. I'm Leo, I'll be hosting for the next couple of runs. So we now have new Super Lucky's Tale run by MooshPaw. So feel free to take it away.
Alright, hello everyone, welcome to Cute Fox Game. My name is MooshPaw and today I'll be bringing any percent of new Super Lucky's Tale. This is on the PC version. And so because we start with a 3-minute cutscene that we cannot skip, I'm gonna take that time to detailedly explain like what's going on here. So what is New Super Lucky's Tale? New Super Lucky's Tale is a very fun 3D platformer. I would recommend it if you like 3D platformers. You have tons of movement options, tons of cool ideas, and very different levels. But most importantly, we have glitches for our run. Before we get into that, let's talk about Lucky's general movement. He has a jump and a double jump, of course, for a platformer. The double jump would be an extra, but you know it's pretty good. We have a burrow that allows us to, well, as it says, burrow under soft ground, and if in case it's hard ground, we would slide instead. If we use that button on the air, we would start diving downwards. And finally, we have our main attack, which would be the tail swipe. Tail swipe is a pretty cool attack because it has like a 1, 2, 3 kind of like hit animation, but also you can use it on the air for a single hit that allows you to stay on the air, like stall that momentum on the air for about a second or so. Of course, you can spam it more to attack while you're falling, but take in mind that you only get that momentum cancel once. So you can only install once in the air unless you use glitches such as bong hop. Now bong hop will be as soon as we start moving, which is soon. But bong hop basically allows us to climb any wall in the game. Even invisible walls, as long as there's a collision and there's not a ceiling, we can climb it. So how it works, based on the old version was called Super Lucky's Tale. This is new Super Lucky's Tale. The old version you had, I think, because the devs wanted to fix that, which was that when you bonked after diving, let's say you touched a wall, you would bonk off. You couldn't do anything. So I think they wanted to fix it on this game, and they made it so double jump resets whenever you whenever you bonk, and so you can just dive and bonk off the wall and keep jumping over and over. Which you use tail swipe to stall the momentum, so like the dive actually gets to recharge and we actually get to climb different walls, but you know, it's takes a while for that. This is Heavy Heads. We'll be entering our first level, which would be 3D. I say 3D because yes, I did say it's a 3D platformer, but we also have 3 different kinds of levels that I'll be explaining later on the run. So for this level we have an objective of bringing 3 golems to a build that is not loaded yet, but there's a shadow on the grassland to awaken this big golem that gives bats. So this is the tutorial area. We're supposed to talk to this golem, but we have bong hop, and this is how bong hop looks like. As you can see, I just started like climbing and I skip the area. I load the bell. It's important that you load the bell, otherwise you need to go back. And here we have Mittens, which would be our first boss would be the first world called Sky Castle. So this is Mittens, and he tells us how great rivals will be, and then he never shows up again because all the other kid leader, which are the cats, they show up at least twice on what will be the main game, but Mittens is the only one that only shows up once. So here's the golem, and there's our first out of 3 heads. So now we're gonna pick this diamond and pick this L. Now we have 4 pages per level. I mean, one is for completing the level, other one is for collecting a secret page. The third one is for getting 300 coins, which we're trying to get. And the final one is for collecting letters that spell lucky, like this C now. And there's an upcoming K. But before we pick up the K, we're gonna pick up this hidden diamond. Not really that hidden, but you know. And here's our second ad. Now, as a quick mention, while I pick up this is that you can play this game on what would be the most recent platforms. You can play on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. PC has very good loads, which makes it the best version, but the leaderboards are split, so you don't have to worry about it. One thing also to note is that the game is compatible with PS5 and Xbox Series. In fact, Xbox Series supports 120 FPS, which is great. And the leaderboards are also split for those consoles because they load like PC, but they're not quite PC because of alting, which I'll be explaining as soon as I finish this level. But they load very quickly as well. So we have this orb we collected. We're gonna bring it to the statue right here. And here's our diamond, and here we enter a sub area. Now you need to load the bell. There are two loads of the bell I mentioned very early after going to the tutorial area, skipping it. There are two loads, and if you get the bad one, which is near the mittens trigger cutscene, what happens is that when you come back from getting this secret page, you would need to go back slightly to actually load the bell. Whereas the good load, you would only need like, it's not really hard to get. It's just confusing usually for new runners. But you need to be near the door, which has the trigger, the good load, and so you don't have to worry about this. So here we pick our 300 coins, and we have all 3 pages. Now we missed this one for getting the level completed page, and we can move on. We can move on to explaining alting. Now, alting is very interesting. So when you exceed that level, normally you're supposed to get well, first of all, in this first level you're supposed to get a mittens dialogue, but in every level you get a door cutscene. That door cutscene is basically a countdown of how many pages you missed for actually opening the boss door, you know, to actually enter the boss. But by alting, which is closing the game, we don't see that. This only saves time on PC and new gen, so don't attempt this on normal consoles. We close the game, we quickly reopen it. Something. And we hit continue. And now we don't have to see any cutscenes. Now we go to our second type of level, which is an auto runner. Now auto runners are cool, I would say, in terms of that I didn't expect it when I first played the game, but it's basically I would say an auto scroller, but more intense because you don't wait for the screen to move, rather Lucky moves by himself. He'll just go forward. So I think this was pretty original and interesting. And these are actually the quickest type of levels you can play for the speedrun, but of course if you miss something you cannot go back. Like, I'm not touching the stick right now, like, it's just going forward. So if I miss anything, that would be a hard reset for world record. And so even then you still have optimizations such as dive boost, because Lucky homes into nearby enemies and bounce pads, so you can still like try your best to actually optimize your movement to, you know, be fast, as every speedrun should be. We try to dive into this bounce pad. That is good. We made it. We have 300 coins and our page. Now, despite what I said earlier about not alting, you should actually alt here on every platform, because with this we already have 8 pages, and this first boss requires us to have 8 pages. And what this means is that by not seeing the cutscene, like by not getting the countdown to 0 and entering the boss, you get to a first step, like that's halfway through to breaking the door. By breaking the door is basically that. Okay, I made it. Sorry for that moment of silence. By breaking the door basically means that we only need to see the door cutscene once per world. Why this happens, I wouldn't be sure. I can tell how it happens. Right now we open the door without seeing the countdown going to 0, and we're gonna do is 5 minutes, then move to the second world, and as soon as you see the second any cutscene on the second world, the door is broken. We will no longer see that cutscene ever again. I would like to say ever again, but it's actually just like once per world. But it's still a huge time save. Like for example on, I think here on PC and where we new gen, saves around 3 minutes, and for would be the current gen, well I would say current gen, but it's called legacy, we call them legacy consoles. It saves around I would say 1 to 2 minutes, because each door cutscene is about 15 seconds. So by not having to see it like 3 times, 4 times, you save a lot of time. However, there's a catch to it, and is that later on, in fact, after this boss fight, we'll see sub-levels. Sub-levels are foxholes, which are like the ones where I entered the sub-area for the secret page on the first level. So those sub-levels have 1 page only, and are like mini levels. We have puzzles, and we have something that we're gonna do. We like to call it new Super Lucky's Ball, in reference to Monkey Ball, because it really is that. Here we try to tail swipe mitten, so okay, we make it. Oopsie. If you tail swipe him, he falls faster, because you break his falling animation. But anyway, here's the way we enter into the second world, and you're gonna see the sub level. And if you, in case you were gonna see a sub level after breaking the door, you would see the cutscene twice. And so, well, you wouldn't want that, which is why actually it was before Alting was discovered. But on legacy consoles, the routing does eggroll, which is a level that's on the left right now. But in PC, because it loads much faster, you can actually do the bold level and then alt out. So this is Tess. Shout out to Steve. He did a character run earlier. Steve has Tess as my girl on his split, so shout out to him. So here we skip go through that dialogue, and here's the foxhole. Here's the sub level. Here's Tess once again, and here goes Lucky Ball. This is we basically need to collect every coin, and if you miss any coin, of course you lose plenty of time. But we're not gonna do that, right? Or we'll try not to do that. But yeah, I don't think anyone has found this really fun. Even casually, I think people just really get mad at this. But it's the quickest thing you do on a speedrun, and this is 70%. So here's our page. As you can see, it's only 1 page, and we're gonna alt out as soon as we get out of this. Reasons: 1 is faster, and 2, we don't have to see the door cutscene twice, which is pretty helpful. So that will be our last alting for quite a while. In fact, until the next world. Take in mind, with alting, you always get spawn in the with the world spawn. In that case, it's right there, like in the middle behind. So ulting every time doesn't save time because then you need to travel to the other level. So Piggy Peril, I like to call it Piggy Perish because you do perish here. It's very cycle based, you need to make everything perfect, which I didn't because I didn't dive into that. Oh no, I didn't pick that year. Oh, it's going bad. It's cycle based because not only you need to make those like spiky wheels without hurting yourself, but you also need, there's a K cycle later on that I'm no longer gonna make. There's no way. And well, by not making the K cycle, you lose around 40 seconds, I think. So yeah, you do need to make this level perfectly. Now I damage boost through this area because I think it's faster and helps me get K cycle, but now I'm in 1 heart and I don't want to lose this heart because dying is pretty punishing. You get a long loading screen and it's not good. Here we would need to wait for the K, whereas if we made the cycle we would just pick it up. And if we also made the cycle, this wheel would be on top rather than below. So now we need to jump over it and we lose a bit of time. Look at this wide. This wide is very interesting because you're supposed to do like a maze, but you can just hum into it with dive. And here comes our page. So that was Piggy Peril. It went really bad, but we're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna pretend like nothing happened. And now comes, I like to call it RIP rollers, rest in peace rollers, because this whole world is a big run killer. Like any mistake leads to depression and stuff you don't really want to see. Well, for this level it's not really cycle based. There are a bit of cycles, but I would say they're not major for rest in peace rollers. But the thing is that you can fall, and when you fall you go to the last checkpoint, and the checkpoints here are pretty spread out. So the only place where you're actually gonna fall is here, and after we get to a background to a secret page, because right now if we fell we would restart the level and that loses like at least 20 seconds. So you don't want to fall. Try your best not to. So here comes the U, and here we're gonna do a little bonk hop to get into this diamond, which we couldn't. Okay. Here we need to bonk here to open up the path to this sea. Gonna pick up that big coin, which I just noticed I haven't explained coins. A normal coin gives you 1 coin, a big coin gives you 10 coins, a small diamond, which is pink, gives you 25 coins, and finally a big diamond that is blue gives you 50 coins. We're gonna pick up this page and we're gonna move on. So now comes a pretty interesting part. We're really close to it. So yep, I need both of these big coins, and then I'll need all 3 big coins that are coming ahead, otherwise I don't get 300 coins. Pick this heart, I activate that switch for the Y, and here comes the ladder. Pick it up. Lucky I pick it up. And here comes an interesting part. First of all, if you damage boost while diving, you don't lose your momentum, because if you just walk normally, you would lose your momentum. But here's coin jump. Coin jump basically is like a semi bonk hop, I would say, because you don't bonk off the wall, but you still reset your double jump. It's called jump in this case, but I like to generalize it as entity jump, because hitting things with your tail swipe makes it so your double jump resets. It's only some things. So far I think the only things that do not work with this are pickable objects, except for one at the last world. We're gonna see that, hopefully. It's a pretty big skip. That pickable object on the last world, and would be friendly NPCs. You can tail swipe them, and then they do the animation, like the typical animation of getting hit and like being annoyed at you. But it doesn't reset your tail swipe and your double jump slightly. So as you can see, the lucky balls are getting a little bit trickier. There's no spikes yet. In fact, spikes are only for the last world, which is also the last main world we do, which has a lucky ball. But yeah, it's pretty tricky. Try to bounce off this, pick those coins, and move on. And we have 10 pages. 10 pages were the requirement for this world, compared to 8 from the last world. So we have 10 pages, and we can go to test boss fight, which I would say is my favorite boss fight, because you move a lot. Yeah, you need to constantly think about where you are and how you'll move. It's really interesting for that, in my opinion. It has like everything you would want except maybe Bonho, but Bonho may be slow to watch, even though it skips pretty big things, and even helps you recover in case you're falling off. But basically here you have plenty of what would be slides, dive slides, which basically are that if you dive and then you touch the ground, the slide goes for a little longer. But of course, because the dive needs to cast, it's not recommended that you jump and keep diving, because then you lose time. Your positioning matters, because she's gonna spawn switches in, well, they're in set locations. For example, this first phase, she's gonna spawn 2 here and 2 on the other side. So we're gonna just hit those and dead ward to the middle and hit those 2. And I think that's what makes it really satisfying. She's gonna spawn some bees to help me recover HP. There's also a thing I do, which is that I jump off while I get health, and as you can see, that's the animation of my hearts getting lost, but I don't lose any, because I gain health as I lose it. And I think it's pretty interesting. I was gonna start from the bottom, and then you move on, and if you're quick, you can make it to the last switch without the lasers coming at you yet. He's gonna spawn bees once more. And well, this boss fight, if you're looking for difficulty, this is definitely not the boss fight for you. You can just stand here and just go AFK. You can drink water or something. She's not gonna hit you. She's really bad at hitting you. Now 2 here, then a dead ward right here. Took damage from the spike on top of these switches, and that is the 3rd and last phase. So yeah, it's pretty quick. Those things go down. I jump off, so I don't have to see like the animation of Tess getting ejected off. So it saves a bit of time. And now we go to the 3rd world. Have Buttons and Fluffy in Graceful Retreat. This is a desert looking place. So this boss fight, I'm gonna talk about them when time comes, but this boss fight went from being the most boring AFK boss fight to being a very big run killer because of a major escape on them, a major break that is, it's awesome. So they do their little presentation. It's 2 cats at once. And we're gonna start by doing a puzzle, a sub-level, once again a foxhole. And I'm kinda afraid to say I didn't actually practice the answer, so you might see me mess around a bit. Yeah, and yeah, you might not see quality content. So here comes the puzzle, and since I don't really know the answer, I'm just gonna bonk hop over it. I hope nobody really minds that. No one's seen this, right? Grab the page. Okay, so yeah, that's a joke we usually use in marathons. I think it's getting old, but you know that we're gonna alt out once. We just alt out this time for like once in this world. But yeah, you can just bonk hop and ignore all the puzzles. You don't really need the big brain. Sadly, I guess. There is a category extension where you actually do the puzzles. But yeah, for what we The only categories that do sub-levels are 80% and 100%, and all pages, but I don't really count all pages because it's 100% but without post-game, and I feel like the post-game is what really makes the game really fun, which is Foxington. Only 100% does Foxington, and it's basically a challenging part because the game is overall really easy. I didn't make it through. The game is really easy, but then you go to Foxington and you get some serious challenge. It's short, but it's cool and it's fun. So this is ladder, I haven't mentioned it. It's a vertical 2D level instead of the typical left to right. It's from down to up. I think that's wrong grammar, but excuse me. So yeah, and I think this level is kinda hated on the community because it's stressful to do. It has a lot of cycles and it's overall not fun. I made that dive perfectly, which I'm happy. I'm happy with that. But yeah, this level is a bit complicated, a bit tricky. Because if you don't know like how to actually approach these platforms, you're about to have a bad time. Pick up all these coins to spawn the cave down here. And now we're gonna pick up all these coins on the left to spawn this pink diamond. We already picked it. Good. And we are gonna do this last few jumps if we can. I'm gonna pick this big coin for the 300 coins and we move on. Here's our Y. And just as a quick note, after the Y there are no coins, so if you don't have 300 coins you better go pick them up. We stand on that stick and then we jump to on top of it to activate the star jump pad. I'm sorry. And that is our page. We're gonna do one last puzzle. We're gonna bong hop one last time, and I think this would be a quick, a little quick moment to talk about any donations that might have happened.
Yeah, sure thing. So we haven't had any donations coming at the moment, but as an incentive for anyone who is looking to donate, for every $10 you donate throughout the entire marathon, you can receive an entry into the raffle for one of 7 copies of Century Life on the Spectrum. It's a comic anthology about living with autism. It's about 140 pages and features work over 30 different autistic creators, all telling their stories on how autism affects their lives. And for more information about Century and its ongoing Kickstarter campaign, you can type !Century in the chat.
Alright, cool. So now we're gonna enter this maybe second, maybe last outrunner. The game actually only has 3 outrunners, and I would like to say we do 2 on the. No, I mean I would like to see we do 3 because the last world needs a very major escape that I have only made like once on a decent run, and in fact that once because you pretty much need to make it first try, or I think third try at most, and I did it first try and I saved 2 minutes just by doing it, but it's really complicated on the last world. And you basically do all 3 auto runners. If you did that, I accidentally didn't jump quick enough. But yeah, I would like to say that, but I'm gonna try to make it here, but if I don't get it on the first 4 attempts or so, I'm just gonna do the normal route, which I think it's more fun because it features a pretty fun level. But for now, we're not in the 5th world yet, 5th and last, we're in the 3rd one, and finishing for that matter. Here we talk to this Yeti. He's a Yeti, I think. And we get the page. Now buttons. So I was talking about buttons as soon as I joined the world, right? Buttons is super interesting now because we can actually skip one of its faces. It has 3 very long faces, and the fact that we get to skip one saves 40 seconds and once again makes it a run killer if you're going for world record. So this was interesting because it was done by 3 people, including me. I'm glad I was in there. So M3 Toxi, Glitch Hunter, found out that you can go where the boat is because Fluffy and Buttons, they're kind of like pirates, so they're in a boat. And he found out that you can stand on top of the wooden like little platforms where the cannons are. Then I accidentally found out that you can skip one of the phases by hitting him twice and doing something that we didn't really know how it worked and why it worked. But then Quantum Craze found out that you need to, after you hit the second bomb, you need to kill the last cat, a flying cat that gives us, it would be your recovery between phases. You need to kill the last cat with his bomb, because you usually just tail swipe them as soon as they spawn and then they disappear. But by hitting him with the bomb, you make to a perfect cycle where that cat dies while Fluffy is doing like that little, well, it's not little, but that last jump that tries to stomp you, even though we're here. So it syncs with that, and by doing that, you actually get to skip an entirely one of these phases with the fireballs. And well, fun fact, the phase we skip has fireballs that spell lucky smells. So take that on your own hands. But us speedrunners no longer smell, so we have that. That was on Super Lucky Stale. I think it was a random chance of getting it, and the devs wanted to make it a 100% chance of getting it. So they made it on the phase 2, but now we skip it, so I'm sorry, Playful Studios. So maybe you saw there that Fluffy was jumping and he spawned at in the boat at the same time, and this makes it so the cats are already spawning in as if we already had hit the bomb and seen the fireballs. We also make the first jump, like Fluffy start to jump on us earlier by hitting the second bomb, because we usually need to wait for the recovery cats, we call them, to die, and then he jumps on us. But by hitting the second bomb, he breaks and jumps on us immediately, which is even more time safe. But of course, I already explained, this is only 40 seconds. Say only, even though it's big for world record. Right now there are fireballs at my back, and the camera goes glitchy after that skip. I think it's because it tries to load the fireballs even though they're not, and it doesn't fix the camera. So then we time our tail swipe to hit the bomb as soon as it spawns, and there goes the boat sinking. So now a friend really likes this next world because it features a pretty fun cat. It's called Lady Meowmalade. She has, well, she would be the only one without a boss fight optimization, but the soundtrack it plays is kind of banger, so it doesn't really matter. I do kind of hate her though, because she softlocked me once on a very good all main levels run. The softlock is that you enter the boss fight and there's supposed to be like a spiky floor that starts like changing color, and then when it's red it's gonna damage you, right? So I decided to just not spin around and stay on the same color, and no progress. So yeah, kind of have like a little matter for doing that. Why it happens, actually no reason. So we're gonna pretend like that never happened. So the old route, and well, what would be the console route here, was to do 2 puzzles and a level called Three Cannon Salute. But unfortunately on PC it looks like it loads too fast. So first of all, we're gonna alt out here, and then We shouldn't be ulting out on any other level, but we're just gonna do puzzles. And for PC and what would be new gen, I like to call this Puzzle Island instead of Gilly Island, because we do all puzzles. This was DLC on Super Lucky's Tale, but as the new version, it's actually a part of the main story rather than like an extra post game. But for that reason is that you need few pages. You only need 6 in this case. Because you're gonna see me do a little more of in case I don't fall. Please don't fall, Lucky. Thanks. Since you're gonna see me do more Bunk Hop Simulator, I think we might have gotten any donations, maybe.
Not at this time, but you are currently watching the Supporting Autism Speedrunning Event, which is raising money for organisation of Autism Research. They're a charity that strives to fund autism research as well as enhance quality of life for individuals with autism. So you can find out more information about OAR at researchautism.org.
Alright, so with that we're gonna continue to do some more puzzles, and here I usually run out of commentary to do because it's really hard to talk about anything or just showing the same thing over and over. Like just the layout, like little blocks on the bottom change, but that's it. But I can quickly give a speedrun tip. Don't touch the floor, because if you touch the floor, you're gonna trigger a golem dialogue, and well, after that golem dialogue, the statues of the puzzle spawn. That doesn't really matter. You just don't want the dialogue. But for now, this is our 4th puzzle. We need 6. As you can see, those tiles below me change. So we pick the 4th page, and we try to move on as quickly as we can because this area is not interesting at all. I can talk about the origins of this route. I was memeing around because I was going for world record and ended up with a +2 minutes, and then I didn't do button skip. I didn't break the phase, so I ended up with a +240. I was like, yep, this is but I was also kind of like de-rusting, so I'm gonna use that as an excuse. So I was de-rusting, it's like, well, whatever, let's just do all puzzles for memes, and I ended up golding the split by 20 seconds. I was like, wait, hold up, what's going on here? And then I did another run using puzzles, and that was pretty much a free world record. Despite having like very red times, I saved around 3 seconds from my PV world record, and well, then came Frog Skip, which we'll be seeing, well, hopefully seeing after this Meowmlade boss fight, which we're about to enter right now. We have 6 pages. Alright, when you complete all puzzles, you actually talk to Golem, but it's a quick dialogue. Problem is that since we're so far away, the camera is kinda messed up. Try to enter from this side. I don't think I did this with mittens, but the only boss fights you can enter from the side are mittens, Lady Meowmlade, and the next one, which is Jinx, or final boss. So by entering up from this side of the door, what you do is that at the end of the cutscene, it loads the load trigger, and so you can be entering the boss fight before the cutscene ends and saves a bit of time. The reason why you can't do this with Tess and Fluffy is because I think for Fluffy you enter from like, well, for both you enter from the front, so you can't really go to the side without losing time, but also Tess has a huge cutscene trigger. It's gigantic, so if you wanted to maneuver around, you would lose time because of how big it is. I think it could save time maybe on buttons, but I think it's super unreliable to do fast, so I don't do it. I stopped trying to do it. Here's Meowmlade. We're gonna Tailswipe her 3 times, and then she goes away. Now, another quick thing to note is that if you're doing the aerial tail swipe to emulate, you need to do it from the tip, otherwise she doesn't take damage. The reason's unknown, I guess a bit buggy. Here are recovery bees. And okay, fun fact, we can bonk hop up here to not only avoid the floor, but also kind of like move the camera around so you can see like nothing. How the boss arena was made, which is really little, as you can see. But be careful with bonk hopping. Make sure to do it on the will be a corner of like a corner from the, I would say like bottom left, bottom right, because if you're on top of the disco ball, it instantly kills you. Even if you have 3 hearts, it instantly kills you, and I don't know why. The only other area that happens is on a Foxington level, because there's a ghost, and it's kind of like an auto scroller but hard because it goes really fast, and if you don't go fast enough, you you perish. But yeah, because it needs to restart from the last checkpoint, you immediately die when you fall off. It's just when you fall off the map. So now this is I would say a hard phase per se at the beginning, because it's 8 lasers and you have like very tight spots where you can actually stand on. There's actually an achievement for making melee damage less. So if you wanna go for that, good luck. So she's now super mad at us and it's like, oh, you ruined my party, here, take the page. Basically, it's basically that. Here's our page. Everyone's chilling with that bunny over there. And now we're gonna go to Huntingham, our last world. We have Jinx as our final boss. And so we have 2 routes. Well, 3 kind of. I would say 2, and the second one is divided on 2 again. So we have the easy route, which would be doing Carnival and then doing Terror Train. Carnival is a 3D level, so it's a bit slow, and then Terror Train is a 2D level. And it's actually one of the fastest ones. You only need 4 pages here, so we only pick 2 and 2 from each level. This level is actually, this world is interesting because you normally can go to any level you want, but even though the loads are still there, for example here in Train, you have this bar that stops you from going in. And then we have the hard route. We have frog skip easy and then frog skip hard. We're gonna try hard 2 times. So this is the pickable object. It automatically picks it up, lucky. And it's the only object that we can actually reset or tail swipe. So we tried to go, but as you can see, I didn't reach the island, so I need to reload the area. And so this is hard version, and then the easy version is going on top of the train station and trying to do bonk hop from there. It's a bit slower. In fact, I think it's like 14 seconds slower, which is honestly not that much considering this skip saves 2.5 minutes. But yeah, it's a bit complicated. For example, here at the medic kit, I tried to pick the frog up. There are times where even if you pick it up, the frog doesn't stay with you. But since we did the hard frog skip twice, we're gonna attempt to do the easier frog skip twice as well. I said easier because you have more room for fails. The only tricky part is actually getting the frog up. I couldn't go up. I to like actually make my estimate and not go too much over time. I'm gonna take that as the first attempt, even though I didn't even like launch the frog at all. So once again we tried to go here on these ghostly rails for the train on top of the station. Then we dropped the frog and didn't go well. Let's try it again. Nope. Come on, Lucky. I don't really like that. Okay. I'm gonna try this from the train and try to like go as aggro as possible to actually make it. It's not going well. Okay, we're just gonna move on. So yeah, that skips really hard. And when I made it first try, I actually found out, like, we found out the easiest strat later, so it was only like the hard strat. And when I made it first try, I was super happy because it broke the sub 50 barrier, and at the time we only have sub 52, so it was really satisfying for me. But this is Carnival, in my opinion, the best level of the base game. It has cool music, cool thematic, and well, it's just awesome. This level is awesome, straight up. So here's life, and here's gonna tell us, hey, you need 3 tickets for your page, which is described as a train ticket. So we're gonna pick that up. We're not gonna pick that clock that gives us the time coins, because we don't actually keep the boost if we pick the coins that appear there. So we're gonna pick up those coins. We only need the 300 coin page and the completing the level page. Gonna go here, and we have 1 ticket. Pick it up. And now we move. Here's like a mini enemy rush fight from Jinx. This is Jinx, or Jinx Shadow, whatever you wanna call it. So he's gonna spawn 2 of those, like, I would say Reaper looking guys. Reaper from Overwatch looking guys. And then 4 bees, and then he's gonna spawn 2 ghosts and 2 flowers. So we're gonna kill these flower, then the 2 ghosts, and then the next flower. And that's it. We're gonna pick up this diamond and dive away while picking the ticket, so we actually move a little bit in the middle of the cutscene. Got that last diamond, and we're close to 300 coins. And as for our last ticket, we're gonna do bumper cards. So this requires us to pick all 16 coins on top of the cards. It's not really that hard, because you can dive to them, but of course, because of the dive cast, it's easier to cancel your outwards momentum with tail swipe and try to move. Now we're gonna land. We're not gonna dive on this bumper card, so Lucky starts dancing on the ticket and the text box appears. It takes a bit of time because you don't need to see the ticket appear, but then Lucky starts dancing. We're gonna avoid this kid. I'm sorry, kid. I know you want your bear, but no. And we pick up the page from the side as we open as we hit the lever. So that allows us to have the dialogue as the cutscene of picking the page happens, which saves a bit of time. So this was Carnival, and now we're gonna do a little bit of Terror Train. So first of all, to get there, there's a dialogue that we're gonna try to skip. Is by going from this side. They want to talk to us, but if we go really close to the door, we don't actually get the dialogue, which would teleport us back, and we'll have a dialogue. We don't want that dialogue. And so now, here comes Terror Trains really fast. We're gonna pick the 300 coin page because it's really easy to pick up. What you're supposed to do is like go around and hit a lever to destroy some wooden tables, but turns out that the left side, which is where you come from, doesn't have a wood table, and therefore doesn't have collision. So here we just kind of like pick it up and move on. That's it. Here's our train trigger for the K, I think. Yes, the K. And we're gonna attempt something. We're gonna try to bonk hop here. Well, I couldn't. So I tried to bonk hop because bonk hopping makes it so that you don't hit that like stop trigger. And when you don't hit that stop trigger, you can jump in the middle of the cutscene, and you can actually pick the page as soon as it spawns rather than having to wait. I was a little bit scared. You might have me tail swiping there, losing a bit of time, and it's because I recently found out that you can soft lock there, so you would need to restart the level. I know it was risky. Anyway, if you either made the easy frog skip or the normal route, the easy route, this is Hunting Camp Skip. We're supposed to build a bridge by completing a level called Grave Awakening, but we actually have enough distance to bonk hop on those islands, so we can't do that from the train station to the second island. We don't reach it, but we can from the second to the third and then to Jinx. So here comes Jinx. Prepare yourselves, people. Here's the last cutscene before we actually call it time. We enter earlier, so that's good. I think this cutscene's around a minute long. It's basically that Lucky gets bamboozled by Jinx in 4K, and whatever frame rate you have. Oh yeah, I should mention I am playing on Steam. The PC version has 3 versions per se, sub-versions. One's the Epic Games version that takes way too long to open up, so all thing is unviable and it's overall not a good version. Have Steam, which automatically v-syncs your frame rate to your monitor refresh rate. So right now I have 75 FPS, no more. And then we have the Microsoft Store version. We call it Game Pass because the game is on Game Pass. So if you have Xbox and you have Game Pass and you want to give this game a go, you can do that. So for the Game Pass version, you have unlimited frame rate, but Alting is a bit buggy because it might tell you like, hey, you need to start a new game, and then you restart the game once again to get your continue button because you did Alting right. And it's like, oh yeah, right, you have you have a save file. So yeah, I stopped using it because it's inconsistent, but it also unlocks your frame rate to whatever your specs can of the or your PC. But downside of that is that there's a level, actually the best level, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to show it off. It's called Harvest Festival, and what basically happens is that there's a key you're supposed to put on the lock, and on Game Pass you need to alt out of the game. Not alting, not closing out, it's not alting, it's just alt tab to not make it like the main game, and that makes it so Lucky freezes, the game freezes, so it technically goes to 0 FPS and the key goes in. So I haven't explained much about Jinx yet, but he spawns these shockwaves, he puts lasers, he moves this stage. Then he spawns, he, instead of rotating and moving the stage, he kind of like changes makes high grounds for us, and low grounds for that matter. And he spawns 3 ghosts. I think for this second phase he spawns 6 ghosts. And after you kill them, James comes, you need to hit him 3 times, and that is 1 phase. However, I think Jinx might be difficult. I don't think I know anyone who hasn't died on Jinx, because those ghosts don't actually recover your health, only Jinx does, and he only recovers 1 heart, which makes this a bit more challenging. Here there's first ghost, second, here comes the third one, we have 4, 5 and 6 ghosts. Gonna try to do fast Jinx, which is basically diving onto him without falling off like that. I'm gonna bonk hop real quick to actually get into the platform. If you don't make it with a bonk hop, I recommend staying on the low ground until he finishes with the last shock wave. And now as you can see, he's mixing it up a bit because he's now putting the high grounds and low grounds before actually the ghost, and he's starting to laser now. Then he starts to rotate as he spawns ghost and shockwaves. I don't know. I don't know if I should make this meme because Double is technically the organizer, but Double died 8 times on Jink. Okay, you can believe him for that. I need to keep these things. Thanks. Okay, that is kind of bad. I don't want to die like Double, please. Oh no, that was way too close. Oh no. This is bad. This is way too bad. Okay, I didn't die. Okay, we have heart. We have... okay, we saved it. We saved it. We barely saved it, but we saved it. So we can prepare time. Here comes the Book of Ages that he stole from us. As soon as we pick it up, it's time, which is in like 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and time. That is time. And that is the end of NSLT. Here we get an ending cutscene and the credits, and then we unlock Foxington. In fact, as soon as this loading happens, we can alt out on any platform to do Foxington if you are speedrunning 100%. Now, I would like to know how good are we for schedule? I don't know, although I don't think we're exactly good on time.
Let me take a look here, just bear me 1 moment.
The battle for Sky Castle began. The portals had reopened. What in the world? And the last of the guardians that had escaped could finally return home.
So yeah, we've got Icania CQ with Sonic Robo Blast 2 coming up, so that is coming up shortly.
Do I have time for showcase like a 4-minute level?
Let me see. I don't think so, as the next run's coming up pretty shortly.
Okay, then we're gonna leave it like this. As the credits roll, I'm gonna say goodbye, but thank you for watching. Keep supporting.
No problem.
Keep supporting the marathon, and well, see you everyone.